All right. Hello, hello. It's me again on a Friday. Just going. Oh no. Oh no. Okay. The Windows started like playing all the music or the streams. It's always super weird if you hear like a repeat of yourself 4 times playing in the background. It's even worse to try to talk during that, because I don't know if you've seen that kind of thing where you have headphones on and things are just like delayed by just like a fraction of a second, and then people just like they start stuttering stuff all over the place. Like their speech just becomes very, very unnatural. And that it distracts the heck out of me. So let's get to this today. I'm going to be drawing a bit for friends seem not to be doing so well down on their game. So I'm just gonna draw a picture. Friday draw. Cheer up. Yeah, okay. Save that right away. Get that out of the way. Or not. Where did it go? Did it save? Huh. Maybe it didn't save because I didn't do anything yet. But I'm also going to try out some new technique stuff as well. So I was told that working from the background and going forward is kind of the way to do it. If I put it into a gradient, then just made the second. Oh, what do you think then? This one. And kind of like the other way down. Yeah, it's so many layers now. So then the idea is to create something on top of the other and just kind of work your way forward instead of kind of trying to work your way back and not getting really anywhere. Here we go. So I'm supposed to put it's probably too much for a horizon line. I think it should just mostly be flat, like a curve. The world. Yeah, I feel like I'm getting a little bit better at these the whole drawing bit, but I feel I have a long way to go. It's really encouraging to see feedback on that, but even if they don't, if people don't put feedback on it, it's always very fun to see just the personal growth. 15. Like even that doing a redraw, those kind of things are like wonderful. Because then you get to see everything that you've like been able to do over that period of time. I think maybe some clouds. Wow, Surashi. We can draw some. Some off in the far distance there. Ah, that looks nice. What's kind of neat about this color stuff too is because there's a gradient on it, I can use the solid color, and it may look like the color inside is changing just because of how it's being set up with these two boundaries being against two different color sets. You know, I should probably go over here, throw a filter on this one. Not that one. I meant this one. Get rid of the noise. Can we get rid of the noise? Just kind of bring down. Don't make too much. Try that. Get rid of that weird circly bit. I think so. See if I can save it. I might actually have to do that with the water there too, because I'm kind of seeing some of that as well. There we go. I'll have an exclamation point in there and just set right before the period. Okay, and then let's filter again. Oh, it's still being saved. Yeah. Too much would be a 2. No, it's too much. It's good. I could just barely see the generated, automatically generated gradients there. Nope. What happens if we just blurred all of them? Just really liking this lens blur. Mm-hmm. Kind of gives you the distant feel. Now undo that, new one, and then put that filter on top just in case I don't like that later on. So the idea is mainly to create more than actually going to be seen, and just kind of put the characters in that world rather than putting a world around the character. We'll see if we can do that. Excuse me. Okay. I might actually try doing this one as well. Try to keep it uniform, kind of give it a bit of photographic perception. I feel like I may need a little bit more up here though. Just in case. Move them back in place. The composition. Yeah, there's a few things within like composition that I'm still trying to get down. I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of the other one then. Yeah. And hopefully that'll give an idea of like aperture, kind of that feeling of small distance that you're looking through. That one. Nice. Okay. Actually, I'm gonna put one back here. A little bit darker. Nope, not good enough. Not yet. Looks very odd being unblurred back then. Nice. Look at that. Too much. What is this? That barely did a thing. Good, good. Wow. Let's not do that one. Why is it putting a line there, I wonder? Cancel. Try this one. That's a weird perception. It kind of feels like I'm looking up at something now. Yeah, these clouds are like right on the edge. That's okay. That's pretty good, I guess. What if it was just enough light? Doesn't really work well. Multiply. Like that. Sounds good. So let's get some foreground. So green. Like some dirt-like stuff. So I am eventually just covering up a lot of drawing. But I don't know. Let's try it out. Let's give it a go. Okay. Kind of a meadow. I need to find a better way of making this kind of stuff. I think I like this a lot more than this, for sure. For sure. I can just barely see any of it. Oh, oh no. Hmm. Okay. Need a bit of a tree. Maybe I can put that between these ones. Oh, by all means. This is the way I want to put it. What is this? I don't like how bumpy it gets. That. Oops. Come on. There we go. Oh. Just got done with the tree commission. The nice thing about doing things like that kind of pushes me outside of my own comfort zone to get into something like this. And then you can just like kind of learn a little bit more how to make the trees and stuff. Am I still any good? I don't know. A little bit better though. That's all that really matters, I think, at this point at least. Well, my friend likes it. You know, down on the game, a lot of bad things happen all at once. They've gotten better, which is nice, but still, it takes a little while to recover. See if that's okay. Needs one more. Now one on top of this. Okay. I need to throw out the music though. Unfortunately, I'm not quite. I don't know. I don't take the time. Just pick it up real quick. Be an error. Yeah, Steven Septic stuff. He's pretty funny. He's pretty good. Really enjoy his humor. Mostly the vlog stuff. There you are. It's lag. You need to get on my level. Come on, man. Keep up with me. Come on, man. Come up with me. Come on. Come on, man. Where you at, man? Come on, keep up with me. Nope. Nope. Jeez. Drawing all these dots. Whoops. There's a lot of them, that's for sure. Ugh. But I hope it turns out. I hope they like it. I hope it's cheery enough. Thinking about it, I might need to change up a bit of this to make it more dynamic, more interesting. Lately, I've been thinking a lot, though, about how to get better at this stuff, because if you're creating a product or if you're creating something, anything really, even speaking to people, even going about just your daily life, you need to have something that creates value for others, for yourself, for everything. So let's say art is one of my things that I give and have the most value in. So how do I go ahead and enhance that even further, since the value that I create is maybe more on a local level, but I want to be eventually at hitting like a world level with my art. Let's just say that. So how do I get that? How do you get to that level of performance? And that's all. You have to look at yourself and you're like, what am I good at? What am I bad at? Trying to really know yourself, really know what you need to improve on. I'm just gonna save it here. And really, if you don't create a certain level of value within your art, then one, no one's gonna really appreciate it. Maybe even you. Maybe you won't be able to appreciate your own art if you are an artist, or relating it to anything such as like music or speeches, or going into retail, or going into like just having regular communications with people. If people don't find you interesting, the reason is probably due to the amount of value that you add to the conversation. So if there's little value in what you say, then it's probably going to be less value to them, and they're like, "Oh, why'd you waste my time?" But if you're able to give some value, like personally, I like to focus more on making people happy, because I don't know, that makes me happy. It's really great to see people not super sad. So I try to add humor into my stuff if I can. So one thing I was noticing with my art is I don't really add humor to my art. It's really rather strange since it's a big part of like my daily conversation. So one thing that I could do to add more value to my art in that sense is maybe add more humor into my art. And in that sense, if people think it's funny, it's added value into what they, I don't know, into their lives. So I was just watching like some Markiplier stuff. Markiplier. And he seems to add a lot of encouraging value to people. Just the amount of people that are willing to go along with him and kind of like are encouraged by him. So he adds a lot of value within encouragement. He adds a lot of value within humor, and he hits a level of value within skill too. If you're like decently good at something, then you add value in like, wow, you could play this better than me, kind of a thing. So just taking that, I was kind of doing kind of looking at how myself, how I could get better. How do I get good? I really want to get good at several areas, and one of them was I think that my daily conversation is not bringing a level of encouragement somehow. I feel like when I'm talking to people very seriously, very personally, they seem to get more discouraged, which is it's rather weird. Because I'm like, I'm not discouraged by it. What's so discouraging about it? And I'm thinking it might just be the way that I'm presenting it and how I go about speaking about it. That might be adding, well, it might be taking away, or it might be adding negative value. I would say taking away value, but taking away value, I wouldn't get any response at all, probably. So adding negative value, meaning I'm adding value that causes people to be feeling a little bit more negative, and I don't like that. I don't really like that. As I was saying before, I like to make people happy. Not in an insincere way, but just sincerely, genuinely, I like to make people happy. Mostly through adding value, through humor, through caring, I don't know. And I think that these streams are a way to kind of like add value. They're more for me than they are for other people. Since streaming right now, there's no one watching, and I actually kind of like that a little bit more sometimes. I love when people stop by because then we get to have a fun time. We get to like converse and find out about new things. But when I'm by myself, when I'm able to just kind of reflect more, it allows for a greater sense of growth and reflection and like self-criticism, which not in a bad sense. Let me just wave my hand to this invisible camera that you can't see. Not in a bad sense, to the point where it's like I'm not beating myself up kind of stuff. Sometimes it gets close. We have fist fights. It's a good time, but being able to say to yourself, I can do better. I can do better than this. And how can we go about doing that? So I ask myself, why am I unhappy? How can I go about changing that? And lately I've been really pushing to try to make more friends within the comic book realm and the kind of like this more art side realm. So I reach out a lot on DeviantArt. I spend a good couple hours doing like research and reaching out to different individuals to see if they'd be interested in my art, but then also going ahead and I go ahead and put comments on things, so adding value, hopefully, to what they're making. giving them the response that I would love to see too. One of the kind of philosophies that I've kind of picked up over the years, it's kind of based around the quote from Gandhi, be the change that you want to see in the world, but kind of pushing that in a sense further, being the friend that you want to see in the world. So if I would like to see, if I wanted to see somebody be a good friend, I have to first be a good friend so that I can add that to the inventory of the world's collective whatever. I don't know. Giving back for what God gave me, kind of thing, you know. And I think that, oh, excuse me, that if you want to see a certain level of change within a people group, there has to be that example first, because a lot of people, I don't know, I've noticed that they're just not as creative as I would like them to be. Not as many people strive to change themselves to be better, as I've seen. So I can really appreciate when there are people who are willing to change themselves and are striving to be better. I have a handful of friends that do that, and it's really encouraging to see them going about moving in a way that I wish I could do too. Just gonna get a drink. But it is very energy draining sometimes. Not because I don't like it or it's not fun. It's just takes a lot out to constantly be pushing forward. To go about in a way trying to achieve your goals within an accelerated amount of time. I guess the best way to put it is. Starting to like how some of those branches are looking. I've had a mental image of how, oh, excuse me, this could look. It's just and I honestly think that creativity and reducing stress in a healthy way is a good catalyst, a good medium that would boosts creativity by far. I don't know what this thing is, but it looked cool in my mind, so I don't know. Let's go back to this stuff. Yeah, adding in value to things that you'd like to see to have added value later on. So it's kind of like almost like a farmer investing in seeds to be able to be pushed off into creating a crop later on. And for the most part, I've seen a lot of cool things from it. The DeviantArt from just in general life. It takes a lot of energy, but I think it's totally worth it. The problem is getting too tired and then having people think that I don't care. It really bugs me. So that's why I try to get as much sleep as I can now, versus like the last few years. I don't know, something changed. This last couple years ago, no, it was last year, around this time actually. Had a really bad time with the roommate and caused some major changes. Almost completely failing school. Wow. Due to the amount of stress. One of the things that I was kind of wondering was just like, it felt like I didn't have anyone to fall on. Like there was no one to ask really that I could get help from, and we were just kind of stuck in the situation. But from that, started to, I don't know, I got a second strength from that. I'm able to deal with a lot of people. It's like there's so much easier to deal with now. And really appreciate a good person even more, but also know how to deal with the not so great people a little bit easier. So what does that have to do with value? It's showing that it's value of, like, people put value on the different aspects of their life too. Like somebody gets super upset over like losing a milkshake or something. That's like the worst thing in the world to them. But in comparison to like, yeah, I lost my family. They're dead. I need to stop those jokes. There's a place for them, but I think I make them too often. But yeah, just the comparison. Each one has a certain level of value that relates to a person. So to that person, it literally was worth everything in the world to be upset over losing a milkshake. Whereas somebody who had something worse happen to them, it might seem like the smallest thing in the world. It's like, at least you have a milkshake, right? But my main point, I think, was how do I create that kind of value within the self, and how do I create that value, or how can I be able to share that value with others so that they can be able to strengthen themselves up too. And I've really found that encouragement, just giving out encouragement, but not just like, wow, you are great, is the way to go. I think it's very personal. It's adding a level of encouragement that tells them, hey, you don't suck. You're doing good, kid. You're doing good. So like nowadays there's like tons of people doing stuff like this and just uploading it, streaming it on the YouTubes. I was just thinking the other day how I don't really care to watch back stream stuff. Like I don't really care to watch other people's streams that have already happened unless they're like a close friend or something like that, and I wanted to see how they were doing, see what was going on with their other group or whatever, something like that. But it's because it's started to lose value because of how much there is, like there's a large quantity of time being put into stream. So like if somebody goes on for 8 hours, it's good for like the in-moment streaming kind of stuff. I'm gonna redo some of these. The in-moment kind of streams where you jump in, you jump out, and then, hey, well, I made a stream, cool. But for some of my things, like sometimes I just don't talk at all in some of these streams. And I think that those ones, they would have greater value as a smaller or shorter stream, kind of like a speed paint, versus these drawn out long, like 2 to 3 hour kind of like live streams put into a video. And the reason is just like, if you have so much that it becomes common that you have too much and you have to pick the best ones to watch. It's like, who's just gonna watch somebody who's saying nothing, right? So I don't know. These are just kind of things that they bug me. They kind of like are like a furnace in the back of my mind, just radiating heat. It's like I could just enjoy the heat and kind of like, yeah, it's at least it's not cold. Just kind of deal with it, or I can open up the furnace to see what's going on. and maybe make that fire stronger and be able to refine myself, kind of like gold and stuff. I don't know. It's a bit rambly. It's super rambly. I'm hoping that somebody's able to get some value out of this stuff. Yeah. Another thing that's really rather strange is speaking as for an unknown entity audience, kind of like a large amount of people who might be able to see it, the potential people who might be watching. And it's super weird. It's really weird to go about doing that, because if you make something for everyone with no one specific in mind, eventually it doesn't really fall onto anyone. That makes sense. I think that's kind of why I like having other people in streams when I can. It's because it becomes a conversation rather than just kind of a monologue like I'm doing right now. Yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping that one day I'm able to add a lot more value to what I make. I feel like I don't add a lot of value, and that really bugs me. I feel like I don't get a lot of response from people, and that bugs me a little bit, but not as much as, yeah, creating something that isn't worth anything too much to many people, something like that. I don't know. I'm just rambling. But yeah, as for art, I think if I got better at lighting, adding texture, focusing on form a lot more, kind of doing a lot more. Need to get back into like drawing things from reference. I haven't done that for a while. Just haven't had time. Getting into a lot more of these design aspects. So doing that freelance to kind of get by, especially right now. I don't know if I should add just random specs everywhere. I could definitely add a lot more branches. How do these work? I think I need to make it more general, less detailed there for what I'm trying to achieve. I mean, these little ones are nice, like these little pink balls or whatever. But I think I'm gonna add one on top of it and just make them like kind of massive. And that's blue. I think this is closer, whoops, to what I'm aiming for. all of that time that I spent on these, and I could have just added little puffballs. I might just turn them into kind of a layer opacity. Layer of opacity. I feel like this works so much better. Getting too caught on the details. Should have just generalized more. I think I'm gonna generalize a lot of this. Like the characters themselves, I have visualized as very general. Add some smaller ones in there, oops, to kind of give it more depth, like they're farther away. Some variation, definitely necessary. I'm gonna make this a little bit smaller. But if you ever, and if there's anyone actually watching this far, yeah, throw how you can add value, or what, or you know what? Don't even. I was gonna say put it in the comments. Who cares? It's more about what you're trying to achieve rather than me actually knowing. But ask yourself, if you're not happy where you are, ask yourself why. What's making you unhappy in what you're doing, and then how can you change that? What can you do to move yourself forward, to be able to achieve what you want to achieve? And if you're able to do that on a regular basis, I am pretty sure you can achieve change. It's recognizing what you need help in or what you want to change and being able to find a way to go about changing it. One of the major things for me that was a piece that I needed help changing, and eventually through like meditation, working out with God, just talking to him and asking him for wisdom, I found that things that were causing me depression. I'm gonna take a drink. I would have a lot of depression, wouldn't know why. Went about asking what I could do to make it better. And I eventually came to the conclusion that there were some things that were causing me to not feel as good about myself, and therefore creating a sense of sadness, of unaccomplishment, of not being able to like meet up to what I wanted to do. So being in school, I would get this a lot. I would be very, very sad because I would have projects that I didn't really care about for a grade that didn't really seem to matter. And then trying to be okay with that at the same time. Coming to the realization that I was playing way too many games, and it was causing a sense of unaccomplishment because I didn't feel like I did anything that day if I played games all day. They're definitely fun. I still do enjoy them. I still play them probably too much, though I've drastically reduced the amount of time I play on them. Finding that I needed to create a sense of accomplishment was something that I found was super helpful for my own health and mental health, and just to be like generally more productive in general. So I started doing a lot more art. I really pushed forward for that within recent years, like the last year or two. Oh, that's a great feeling. We got like a slightly sore throat, and just like reached up into my nose real quick. Oh. Yeah, I hope you don't mind being all super weirdly sincere and stuff. I feel like a lot of my friends don't see this side all too much. I always act like an idiot. But yeah, just really looking at yourself to see what am I doing? What can I do to make it better? For me, it was finding a way to create goals and finding a way to achieve them. So like drawing, that was a goal of mine. I get a certain amount of drawings done within a week. That was a major point of my trying to do good. I don't know. I'm just gonna check my notes right here for what else I needed to put on here. Oh geez. Well, this is gonna be interesting. This more blue. But adding things of value, they're definitely important. And if you're able to identify them, if you're able to achieve them, those are both really good things. Fine. Sit up straight. Hmm. What kind of desserts maybe? I could add some flan. Why not? Yeah. I don't really like being all too open with people about my concerns unless they need them themselves, like the same things, because I feel like it depresses people. So I don't like that. So I try to avoid that if I can. But in the meanwhile, let's make a cake. Make a cake. Make a cake. Ah, yeah. Look at that cake. Some of the things that I'm really appreciative for lately, especially, is kind of the friends that I'm hanging out with right now. They're all very self-motivated. I don't have to push anyone to really do anything. Like, I don't have to say, "Hey, hey, man, what are you doing? Let's get going. You wanted to get there with your life, right? And why are you just sitting down?" These guys, they do pretty good, and they're very encouraging. If through anything through their work, and they're really pushing themselves to be more than just hobbyists within art and stuff. I can really appreciate that too. Um, it's just a lot of fun. I would enjoy it. I'd be very sad if it were to end anytime soon. These guys need some cups in their hands. kind of maybe a weird place to stop it, but I think I'm going to end this for now. I don't know how long I've been going. Probably an hour-ish, right? I don't know. Well, anyway, thank you for hanging by, swinging by if you have, and hopefully I'll catch you later in one of these next ones. All right, take care. Bye.